What is self-love? Self-love isn't self-care, although self-care can be a part of self-love. Self-care alone is not self-love. Self-love is also not prioritizing your own wants and needs above everyone else, regardless of whether or not that hurts others around you. Loving yourself is about putting yourself back together again when life breaks you, and rebuilding yourself to feel whole, happy, and confident after going through experiences that have made you feel as though you were unworthy or unlovable in some way. To love yourself, you need to be able to forgive yourself for mistakes that you have made in the past. Remember that it is human to err, but we learn from our mistakes. To forgive yourself, you may need to ask yourself what you can learn from your past mistakes. Clearly, we can't go back in time or relive the past, so ruminating on it is useless unless you use your memories to learn something that can help you avoid making the same mistakes in the future. If you struggle with forgiving yourself for the past, or if you find yourself blaming yourself for everything that has gone wrong in your life, it may be helpful to ask yourself, how can I love myself enough to forgive myself? Self-love is about stopping yourself from being your own worst critic. And self-love requires accepting yourself as you are, imperfections and mistakes included. Self-love is about realizing that you are enough just the way that you are, and about not speaking to yourself in cruel ways that you would never speak to a family member or friend like, but rather learning to speak to yourself as though you were your own best friend. To love yourself better, listen to the words that you are saying to yourself on a daily basis. If your words are less than kind, you may need to work on reversing your thoughts until you can speak kindly to yourself with compassion. It can help to look at yourself in a mirror and list at least 5 things that you love about yourself. It can also help to write a list of all of your accomplishments, both big and small. Remember to reward yourself for anything that you accomplish. In addition to these steps, some people try writing a eulogy about themselves or writing a love letter to themselves. If you struggle with having negative thoughts, keeping a gratitude journal where you write down 10 things that make you grateful every day can help. What are some things that you are willing to try in order to help yourself say more positive and more kind words to yourself? While it isn't self-love to do things that harm the people whom we care about, because ultimately, if you care about someone, you will want them to be happy. Putting others first, while ignoring your own needs, is a recipe for feeling resentful and burning yourself out. It's important to think about prioritizing your wants and needs, and filling your own cup first, so that it can overflow to the others around you. When you are at your happiest and healthiest, you will be strong enough to help others around you. Neglecting yourself puts you in that same state as the airplane sticker that says to put your own mask on first before helping the child next to you. Help yourself first so that you will be strong enough to help others. Prioritize your needs and your happiness so that you can have energy to bring that happiness to the people who you care about. Ask yourself what lights you up and makes you feel happy. Do more of whatever that is. Do at least 1 to 3 things that make you feel happy every single day. Ask yourself, if I loved myself, what would I do? Do whatever that is. Keep in mind that being able to say no and setting boundaries with others can be a part of your self-love journey. And remember that the people who care about you will want you to be happy, well-rested, and healthy. If you find it hard to say no to people, remember that you have probably never loved someone in your life any less because they said no to you or set a boundary with you. And a person who cares about you won't think any less of you either. You can have you and have someone else too. You don't have to sacrifice yourself to keep anyone in your life. This comes down to being able to set healthy boundaries. Relationships that lack healthy boundaries and respect for those boundaries are doomed to be unhappy and split up sooner rather than later. Ask yourself what your boundaries are. What are your physical boundaries? What are your emotional boundaries? What are your mental or intellectual boundaries? And what are your spiritual boundaries? After you determine what your boundaries are, be sure to communicate them to others before they get crossed. You can't hold anyone else responsible for crossing a boundary if you haven't clearly communicated it to them. If you are not sure how to communicate your boundaries in a clear, considerate, and respectful manner, check out my talk on communicating to save your relationship, or consider working with a relationship coach. While self-love requires the ability to feel that you are worthy and lovable right now, just the way that you are, without having to change anything, it does not negate self-improvement. Just because you accept your imperfections doesn't mean that you need to set yourself on a path of not improving anything. Because self-love also includes working towards becoming your greatest version. You don't have to be as fit as a celebrity. You only need to work on becoming the fittest version of yourself. When you love yourself, you can accept yourself as you are and avoid comparing yourself to others. The only person you need to be comparing yourself with or competing with is your own self. You can always become a better version of you. Just make sure that you enjoy the process that it takes to get to the result that you would desire, because you will ultimately spend more time on the journey of improvement than on the destination. You're never too old to become more fit or to learn something new. Become a lifelong learner, because it will keep you engaged with life and happier as a result. Learning something new or contributing to society in some way, such as volunteering for a cause that you believe in, will also improve your confidence. What is something that you've always wanted to learn or become good at? What do you still need to do to become your greatest version? When will you start?